Hello, this is the City of Tascadero's Planning Commission meeting. Welcome. For May 20th, I'll bring this meeting to order. All right. I'm Jason Anderson, and I would like to first start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. If Ms. Carranza, Commissioner Carranza would lead us in that. Thank you.
Please stand. And I might add that we have a city lead here for the new planning commissioners. I just wanted to say hello to Mr. DeBar, our Public Works Director.
Yes, welcome, Nick. Nice to see
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Happy
you.
to be here.
Right. Okay, well, we'll move on and we're going to go ahead and do the roll call. Would you take care of that for me?
Sure. Commissioner Carranza,
Here.
Commissioner David. I didn't,
Here.
oh, thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Heath,
Here.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Here.
Commissioner Panaccio,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Anderson.
Here.
And for the record, Chairperson Keene is absent tonight, so we have 6 present and 1 absent.
Thank you. All right, roll call is complete. Now, if you're attending in person or listening to the commission meeting tonight, welcome. That's what it says for me to read right there, so I'll do that. Thank you for this cheat sheet. I really appreciate it. Wonderful. We're going to go ahead and approve the agenda. If I have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
All right. Do you have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Commissioner Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Commissioner Carranza,
Yes.
Commissioner David,
Yes.
Commissioner Panaccio,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, this time we'll go ahead and open up public comment. Public comment is a portion of the meeting that is reserved for persons wishing to address the commission on any matter not on this agenda and over which the commission has jurisdiction. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name for the record before making your presentation at the lectern. The commission may take action to direct the staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Do we have anybody who wants to have any public comment? Not seeing anyone come forward. I will go ahead and close public comment. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the consent calendar. I will now open public comment for consent calendar items. Do we have anybody who wants to make any public comment on anything on the consent calendar? Nope. Are there any members of the public wishing to make a public comment on the consent calendar? Nope. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close that. And let's see, I will now ask for any commission members who wish to ask any questions or pull any items from the consent calendar. No, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close that. We'll move on to pass the consent calendar. Do I hear a motion?
I will motion to approve.
Okay,
I second it.
Commissioner Carranza motions to approve and David seconds that. Perfect.
Okay, Commissioner Carranza,
Yes, indeed.
Commissioner David,
Yes.
Commissioner Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Commissioner Panaccio,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Anderson.
Yes,
Motion passes 6-0.
perfect. Okay, and is there any planning commission business? No, not seeing no business. I will, we'll continue on to community development staff reports. No staff reports. All right, seeing none. Let's see. Do we just move on to ex parte, right? Okay. Do we have any ex parte for anything on the consent agenda? Well, actually, to be specific for item 3 on the agenda. Do we have an expert tape for Commissioner Carranza?
No ex parte.
Commissioner Benoitian?
No ex parte.
Commissioner David?
No ex parte.
Commissioner Heath?
No ex parte.
Commissioner O'Malley?
No ex parte.
And I don't have any expert tape myself. All righty. So let's go ahead and get the presentation going. I believe Eric's going to be giving that. All right, take her away. And dazzle me.
Thank you. Yes, today I will be presenting to you all. Hopefully this first item will be pretty straightforward. This is the Verizon telecommunications facility project on 2605 Traffic Way. This is actually coming in as an amendment to a previously approved conditional use permit. It's amendment or case number AMND 250019. So the project site is the location or the property of the congregation or Safan, previously the Masonic Lodge here in Atascadero, located at the northwest corner of Traffic Way and Potrero Road intersection at 2605 Traffic Way. It's zoned public with a planned development overlay number 35. So almost exactly a year ago, as I was looking at it this afternoon, Verizon Wireless had come in with the proposal to install a new telecommunications, unmanned telecommunications site. So that included what's a 580 square foot telecom compound or a lease area, basically, that was enclosed with a block wall. In that lease area was a lot of telecom equipment, power equipment, cabinets. It also had a 63-foot tall monopine cell tower. It was enclosed by a 9-foot CMU wall enclosure, and there was perimeter landscaping around it to help kind of buffer that view and the massing of that tall CMU wall. Since that time, they came in and submitted for building permits, but also said, hey, we actually need to increase the area that we're leasing on the underlying property. And that increase is from 580 square feet to 1,000 square feet of total area for this telecommunications facility. And so on your screen right now is kind of a depiction of what those increases look like. So previously it had an L shape. It's now getting more into the rectangular shaped world. With tree being located in the exact same place, but just more area to put additional equipment. What I'll add to this is that when we're looking at these telecom towers, what tends to happen is that there is a single structure that is leasing telecom space to multiple providers. And what jurisdictions and really what the federal regulations kind of encourage local jurisdictions to do is allow for co-location of different service providers on the same infrastructure. And that way you're not having to create multiple of these sites every time a different network provider wants to come in. And so while in hindsight, we would have wished this would have been known in advance that they would have needed this space. It wasn't, but we do think this is a reasonable request to expand that site to allow for potential telecommunication sites to co-locate in the future and provide that space if needed. So jumping into a quick analysis of the site, telecom facilities are conditionally allowed in the public zone. So they had that conditional use permit approval, and this one's just amending it to increase the size of the telecom facility. This new design continues to comply with all code requirements. They are actually having to remove one parking space that was originally approved with that master plan development for those buildings in the vicinity of the church and the daycare building next door. But our code allows them to replace that with a bike rack. So that has been added as a condition of approval. And so they'll be providing a bike rack, which actually kind of makes sense for a temple style use. There have been conditions added or modified to ensure that the high quality design for the wall continues, right? That they're not just using a blank cement wall or blank concrete wall. It is a split block requirement for that wall with a natural color that is compatible with the rest of the site, and to continue requesting proper landscape screening to make sure the massing continues to be broken down in the areas that have been added to it. The project does qualify for a Class 3 categorical exemption from the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA. So with that said, my recommendation to you all, Planning Commission, is to adopt a draft resolution approving approving an amendment to conditional use permit 240014, allowing an expansion of the lease area for a telecommunications facility located at 2605 Traffic Way to a total of 1,000 square feet, subject to findings and conditions of approval. You'll have to excuse that typo originally, but yeah, that is my recommendation to you all. So with that being said, I will open it to discussions and questions.
All right, thank you very much, Eric. So dazzled. Appreciate that. All right, do we have anybody from the, any members of the public who would like to speak on this item? Okay, just head to the lectern and go ahead, and I think you have to turn it on. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Pete Shubin. I'm with Sequoia Deployment Services, representing Verizon Wireless, the applicant for the case. I don't need to go over everything staff said. They were very thorough in their presentation. Just an added note, as they had mentioned, that co-location tends to happen at a facility. Knowing that, we looked at this one, and with the block wall and the landscaping, we thought it would be best to build out the enclosure early with those hard materials in the wall and demolition that would be required and its style. We thought it would be best to build it all at once and then let the equipment go in without it being remodeled and chopped and remodeled later on in the future. So that was the genesis for us coming in with this modification before construction. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have regarding the mod.
All right. Do we have any questions for this? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have anybody else who would like to speak? All right, I'll go ahead and close public comment on this item, and we'll open it for discussion among the commission members. Anybody have anything they would like to discuss about this monumental event? Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair. I think that the staff report was really well done, and there was some mitigation factors that I appreciated, including the parking structure item, and it seems like a win-win. So that's my comments to the commission.
Perfect. Anyone else? No? All right. Oh, go ahead, Derek.
I'm concerned, or I'm curious about the 9-foot CME wall and what kind of landscaping is going to be grown in front of the wall to screen it. And I see that there's some climbing vines that are being proposed. And is there any requirement for shrubs or trees or just anything to further buffer from a 9-foot CME wall?
Yeah, so the answer to that question is yes. So you notice just the way that the site is designed and how it's located in the middle of 2 parking lots. When that master plan development was originally approved, it came with landscaping requirements for that parking lot. So that picture at the very top on your screen right now, that's what it looks like right now. The picture at the bottom is what it'll look like in the future. So a lot of that landscaping is remaining. We're not removing any of the approved landscaping that's already screening. What we have asked for is to provide some more columnar landscape features. So like manzanitas is what we proposed to the applicant and said, can you put some of these in around the wall? Because it is a pretty tall wall, you're right. And it's part of the reason why we said, don't just do a cement wall, do a split block, nice wall, and add some manzanitas both along the right of way and adjacent to your neighbors so that they're not just looking at a blank wall when they're looking at the site.
Sure. The plans that were provided look like they're fairly far along. They might be construction drawing plans. Is there going to be are there going to be landscape plans required for the planting that you're requiring?
Yes, and those will be shown on the project plans. They are pretty far along, as you mentioned, because they had to come in for the building permit, and I'm not really, I don't want to speak for the applicant in terms of what happened between the time it was approved and the time that they submitted, but the design was different, which is why we came here.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I do have a question. It does say that there's going to be a diesel generator. I assume that's for emergency backup.
That is my understanding, yes. And it looks like the applicant's shaking his head yes too.
And obviously there's going to be diesel fuel stored there for the backup generator to run on. Yeah.
I think those might be questions better answered by the
Okay.
applicant. But ultimately for the building permit, yes, they should be meeting any fire and storage requirements associated with storage of fuel.
All right. If he can answer the question better, my question is basically, obviously, I know the amount of fuel that's stored, what would happen if it were to leak, and how you're going to retain any runoff if it does, and security around that area to make sure that nobody messes with it.
I can answer all those. The answer to the first questions of diesel for backup power, yes. Stored on site, yes. Now I'll get into the details. It's in behind the wall. It is what is typically known as a double wall tank. So it's a tank inside of a tank. And if the tank was to rupture, the fuel would flow and then be contained inside the outer tank. And it would still alarm and notify the operation because it's monitored. The operation center of a change in fuel level, a leak into the outer wall. So it cannot leak beyond that. If you had a double wall rupture, yes, well, then it would leak. But it complies with all state fire requirements. It also complies with all hazardous materials requirements with regard to leakage. So it is registered and maintained by the tank type where it is. So it's complies with everything to make sure that those events have a very small chance of happening and any problems would be mitigated. With regard to fueling, it is, I don't recall exactly, it's either 209 or 211 gallons that's in this tank. Depends on the manufacturer. It's all about that amount. That is a California state requirement to provide 72 hours of on-site backup power. That is the backup power. That is also the fuel. So in case of an outage, there would not be the need to roll a fueling truck for at least 72 hours. That typically covers PG&E brownouts, public safety, shut-off events, even times when we have, something that happens, a fire where there's a long-term shut off. 72 hours typically covers that, which is how the state came up with the requirement, which is where the fueling requirement comes from, or the amount of fuel. As you noted, it's also in the parking lot next to it. So the fueling truck would pull up and then go and fuel to the tank through the gate. If anybody got into the enclosure to look at it, it is all locked up. The fueling apparatus, the tank itself, it's all locked and secured. The generator also is locked and secured itself. It is inside a all metal enclosure with locked doors.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate the clarification, Pete. Thank you.
I have one question. I'm newer to the group, but do we have any other similar structures in Atascadero through Verizon or?
Yes, I'll leave that to staff to point out exactly. I know of several in and around town. I see them. But that question always ends with, okay, where? And that is, I think staff would be better able to answer those. Yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions? All right. Well,
I did want to just address Commissioner O'Malley's question as well, if that's okay. Yes, there are several of them, many along the Pine Mountain area, a couple along El Camino Real. The most familiar one people seem to be aware of is the one right at La Plaza. So if you go and peek to the parking area right behind the trellis feature, in the actual like plaza area, there is a telecom tower there. Not specifically owned by Verizon, I don't believe. Many of them are actually owned by individual contractor or individual developers who are building out the infrastructure kind of as a method of leasing and making their revenue that way to the providers.
Okay, quick follow-up to that. So I hear concerns about, just maintaining safety in these areas. We've never had a issue in Atascadero with any of these other sites.
Not that I'm aware of. There's always concerns about general maintenance of the site. Our conditions do require long-term maintenance and making sure that any litter that would fall or any branches that go into disarray or become old and start falling are replaced, and that all the telecom tower equipment continues to be screened. The way that these telecom towers typically work is as the technology evolves or as equipment becomes obsolete, they come in for permits to replace that equipment. And that gives us ongoing opportunities throughout the life of a tower to go out and inspect with each improvement or each change out that happens. And if we go out and see, hey, your fake tree has shed all its leaves, we need you to fix this before we issue any more permits for new equipment to be mounted.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions? That was a good question. Thank you. No, all right. Well, I'll look for a motion to approve this. Anybody want to? I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right. We'll do a roll call. Oh, did we skip over something? Oh,
You'll want to read what's on the recommendation that's on here minus that first part. That's kind of
yeah,
redundant.
I guess I got to read what I'm
So it
approving.
would start at adopt draft resolution approving and then jump to an amendment.
I got it. Thank you. All right. I make a motion to adopt the draft resolution approving the conditional use permit USE 24-0014, approving an amendment to conditional use permit USE 24-0014, AMND 25-0019, allowing an expansion of the lease area for a telecommunications facility located at 2605 Traffic Way, APN number 049-063-003, to a total of 1,000 square feet, subject to findings and conditions of approval.
Just want to clarify that the motion is for AMND 25-0019. There's inadvertently a reference to another use permit number, but that is obsolete here.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
So there is a reference to a conditional use permit 24-0014, which does not relate to this project. So I just want to confirm that your motion is to approve the permit AMND 25-0019.
Oh, yes, yes. The
Great.
amendment. Okay,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you. So that is noted. Thank you.
Thank
Do
you.
we have a second?
I will second.
All right, we have a second. Let's go ahead and do roll call.
Vice Chairperson Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Panaccio,
Yes.
Commissioner Carranza,
Yes.
Commissioner David,
Yes.
Commissioner Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right. Congratulations. Thank you, Pete. Have a great day. All right, moving on. We have the next item on our agenda is vesting tentative parcel map at 4500 Telcolte Road. Okay, and we'll go ahead and I'll do a disclosure of ex parte on this item. Do we have any ex parte, Ms. Carranza? Commissioner
No,
Carranza.
yeah, no ex parte for me.
No,
Ex parte? No ex parte? Yes, Debbie.
No ex parte.
Commissioner Heath? Commissioner Heath, do you have any ex parte on the agenda item number 4?
No ex parte.
And Commissioner O'Malley?
No ex parte.
All right, and I have no ex parte on this item, so let's go ahead and move forward. We have a presentation as well.
Yes, sir. Whenever you're ready.
You're going right ahead.
Lovely. All right, so here is your next item today. This is the Smith Vesting Tentative Parcel Map. It is located at 5400 Tecolote Road. This is project number SBDV 2496. So a quick overview of the project side. This is project site. This is a 5400 Tecolote, as I mentioned earlier. It's a 21.4 acre parcel located at the northwest corner of the Llano Road and Tecolote Road intersection. This zone is rural suburban. Your project description. This is a vesting tentative parcel map. Essentially, this is a small subdivision of one parcel, one lot, into a total of 4 lots. What you have up on your screen there in that picture or that chart is kind of a breakdown of how each new lot will look. So you have that 21.4 acre lot to begin with. That's the existing parcel, and the 4 new lots, they will be ranging from 4.2 to 6.4 acres in size, so pretty sizable lots. Along with the subdivision into 4 parcels, there will be some right-of-way dedications just to clean up the right-of-way along Llano and Tecolote Road and make sure we have the space that we generally require around the edge of pavements for any maintenance purposes that Public Works may need. There are also requirements to improve Tecolote Road to accommodate a proper termination. A while back, we abandoned a portion of that road. And now, because they're going to be developing on it, the proper way to terminate a road in the city of Atascadero is via cul-de-sac. So when they improve one of those lots along Tecolote, they will also be required to build out that cul-de-sac that will terminate the road properly. Quick analysis of the project site. So minimum parcel size for the residential suburban zone is measured based on various site-specific factors. You can have anywhere between at least a 2.5 acre parcel and at most a 10 acre parcel. But the actual minimum parcel size for any given subdivision is based on factors like your distance from city center, your suitability for septic, the adequacy of your access, your topography, which are all put into this fancy little formula and help planning staff arrive at a minimum parcel size for that area. In this case, the true minimum parcel size for any of these resulting lots would have been 3.2 acres. And as I mentioned earlier, the smallest lot here is 4.2. So they're meeting their minimum parcel size. Other than that, the project complies with all other applicable subdivision standards for the RS zone lots. Because in this case, the lots do see a significant amount of topography. I believe the average slope per the last slide was about 27% across the whole lot. We asked the applicant as part of our environmental review to show us resident or feasible building areas on the property. And for our code, that really means areas that are sloped at 20% or less. Because at that point, the submittals for building a house in that area would just be a building permit. And that tells us that building is more or less feasible given that topography. They did do that. They showed us, and you can see it on your screen just very lightly, they're little dashed lines. But more importantly, you can see it on the map that is in front of you today for approval. They're little dashed lines for building envelopes, effectively, that will be the locations where future buildings are permitted. They will be required to comply with all the other municipal code standards, which are in place, including native tree ordinance requirements, hillside development standards, grading and stormwater control requirements, which are pretty typical of any new construction in the city of Atascadero. At this point, however, we do not have a submittal for actual building permits. It's just the map, so we're just seeing the lot being subdivided. As part of the process, we did an environmental review, which resulted in a negative declaration after our preparation of the initial study. That initial study and negative declaration were circulated for public review in compliance with all California CEQA requirements, and are in front of you today also for adoption. a quick modification to one of the conditions of approval. It was brought to our attention by the applicant here. The installation, and speaking with our public works director, the installation of fiber optic cable or conduit at this juncture is not necessary for the site. And so that portion of the condition has been modified to be removed. So my recommendation on on this project is that the planning commission adopt draft PC resolution adopting negative declaration environmental document number 2025-0001 and approving vesting tentative parcel map 24-0047, project number SBDV 240096, subject to findings and conditions of approval. Again, we have arrived at discussion and questions.
Thank you. Dazzled again. Appreciate that. All righty. Okay, let's see. Do we have anyone in the, any members of the public who would like to comment on this item? Please step up to the lectern and state your name, and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Brent Keast. I live on Yano Road, right at the foot, and been there for 15 years. I'm also a member of the Chamber of Commerce and the Atascadero Rotary Club. So anyway, I'm speaking against the subdivision, and I have a couple topics to mention. One is the safety of the area and the neighbors, the aesthetics and the beauty of the area, and a disruption of the neighborhood during construction, equipment, noise, building roads, etc. Number one on my list really is there's only one evacuation road out of there. It may appear that Balboa is an evacuation. It's not. It's a dirt road. And Llano has another dirt road that connects to San Lucia, but that's even chained off. So with only one evacuation road there, it would be, I think that would be a big problem. And you know how the wildfires have been a big problem in California. If something like that happened, I hate to think of what would happen if we tried to evacuate that area. The project would create more traffic on Santa Lucia and more wear and tear on the road. The surface is pockmarked right now. I know that they're thinking about maybe resurfacing it, but they've done that. They've thought about it for years. Because of that heavy traffic, it just makes the Santa Lucia Road more difficult to travel. Wild animals in the area, I think, will be adversely affected because the population density would take away their habitats, and we really enjoy all our wild animals. So there's practically no cell service in the area. We have tried to get towers and we just don't get them because we don't have the population density. So emergency communications are seriously impeded. Another thing is the slope of the properties. It's steep, in excess of 20%, but sometimes it's more than 20%. And when you've cut down a bunch of trees that hold the soil in, we could have some serious mudslides in that area. I'm almost done, so I will give it back to you. Thank you for letting me speak.
Well, thank you, Brent. Why don't you wait there in case we have any questions for you?
Okay.
Does anybody else like to comment on this item?
Good evening, Chairperson and Commissioners. My name is Eric Smith, 40-year resident and applicant for this project. I'd like to thank the staff for a very thorough report. I have with me Matthew Moore from Civil Design Studios. He is one of the PEs on this project, so we are both available for any questions that you might have. That is it for me, other than I would like to comment about the tree removal that was just mentioned. There will be absolutely zero tree removal on this project. So that's it for us.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Right. Would anybody else like to comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to commissioner discussion. Do we have any questions? Any questions for the applicant or the other people here? No? All righty, well. Go
I'll
ahead.
ask a question. My understanding is we are just looking at division of the property. There's no plans right now before us for building, correct?
That's correct. And I know a lot of times we brought Director DeBar here so that he could answer some questions, knowing that there might be some questions about how future development might work and some of the conditions of the road. So if you're amenable, I think we can have Nick answer some of the questions that came up during public comment.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I forget the gentleman's name. Keast, Mr. Keast, mentioned that he had a few points that he brought up. One, the emergency evacuation route. So Balboa, we actually made some improvements to. We replaced some culverts. We actually brought in and graded out some of the road. It is considered a city evacuation route. Also at the end of Yano Road, that wooden bridge, we actually made some repairs to that a couple years ago. That was actually used as a detour during the Santa Lucia Bridge project over Graves Creek. So we had garbage trucks and other things driving over that. It is locked, but I think a lot of folks out there have bolt cutters in their trunks and things like that for these types of things. But so that's one of the issues I know Mr. Keys brought up. The other was traffic on Santa Lucia. 4 residential properties won't generate a whole lot of traffic. And regarding the project and the improvements that the city is looking at, we're ready. We have almost 100% design plans right now to bid out for Santa Lucia. So Mr. Keys will be happy to hear that from Portola to the new bridge, we'll be reconstructing that road this summer. So it won't be a simple overlay. It'll be a $2+ million project. So, and then as far as I think Commission Member Carranza maybe mentioned, or Ms. O'Malley mentioned that the approval tonight is just subdividing the land. So when the applicant comes back to build a home, he's going to have to submit design plans, grading plans, all those things. And the city does have stormwater requirements. So depending on how much soil is disturbed, he'll have to, meet certain requirements for, per federal regulations and state and city regulations. Dust control and some of the noise from that'll all be part of that regulations and conditions of approval for the building permit. There's not going to be a lot of the only really true public improvements they will be making will really center around that cul-de-sac. So the road actually is already, built to city standards. And I think utilities will also, there'll be some utilities they'll probably have to build. Lastly, one of the reasons that that condition was modified is Astound, who is a new broadband fiber company, actually has an application and a plan this summer to build 212 miles of cable in the city right away. And it's their new deployment fiber to home. And actually Yano is one of those roads that they're going to be installing broadband fiber. So Mr. Key should be happy about that too, because I know a lot of the folks out there, they're either on Starlink or Ranch Wi-Fi or Ranch Wi-Fi, things like that. So they're going to have a lot, they're going to have fiber optic speeds out there. And if there's any other questions or anything I missed, I can certainly try to answer.
Any other commissioner? Go ahead. Ms.
Yeah, just to go back on I'm happy to hear about the road improvements and not just putting some lacquer over, but actually doing some serious road improvements. Until that time comes though, knowing about the high fire risk, regardless of the development, taking place after subdivision time, if that's the case, that we approve that tonight, addressing that locked bolt cutter issue, it seems that would be very saddening if people were trying to exit. And so what's the rules for that right now? Is there a reason why the city has that locked, or is it more of a private person that has that locked? Can you address that piece?
I think the primary purpose is, and I've had a lot of discussions with the fire chief and the fire marshal about this. Really, the key times that an evacuation would be needed out there is primarily over the summer from a wildfire, let's say, not so much during winter months or fall and spring. And, so we're talking with the fire department about maybe policies about keeping that unlocked during the summer months or fire season, which is now. And one of the reasons we kind of like that is just because of residents. We don't want a lot of people using that road. It's unimproved from Santa Lucia to the bridge. It's drivable, it's accessible, there's driveways off it. But just to try to prevent, folks from using that, it's really more of an emergency access as well.
Okay, yeah, it seems like there's the opportunity costs of fires being started with more people on that road than there would be if there happened to be a very sudden chance that the road was needed because of a fire, is what I'm hearing you say. And
Right.
trying to mitigate that is a little challenging.
Yeah, and during construction of Santa Lucia Road, we're gonna require the contractor to keep one lane of traffic open at all times. As in addition to Astound, we'll need to be keeping one lane of traffic open at all times. So there won't be any road closures of any significance that are going to be occurring on either of those projects.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Commissioner David.
Today I went out to look at the site, and when I went down, how do you say it? Tecolote Road. Tecolote, thank you. When I went down that road, there was a gate, a lock gate. And so it looks like as part of this project, there'll be a road improvement with a cul-de-sac built at the end, right at the corner of parcel 4 and parcel 3. So parcel 4 will have to be responsible for building out their driveway all the way to the back of the property where the building site is? Is that correct?
So to answer your question, I think if you flip flop that parcel 4 showing the old cul-de-sac, that cul-de-sac was abandoned.
Right.
And so the new cul-de-sac is the one just beyond that gate that you came to.
Okay,
And so that cul-de-sac will be connected to parcel 3 and 4, giving access to both of those parcels.
okay, great.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is there's an offer of dedication. There's actually 4 offers of dedication. There's some slivers along Yano Road, just because the road isn't in the right of way right now. I didn't do that. That was done way before me. Just so
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
Yeah, the road is built on the property, so we're going to dedicate PUE to correct that situation and give a true right of way down Yano, in addition to building out the cul-de-sac to correct the non-ability to turn around on Tecolote.
Yeah,
So
it was
it should
tight.
resolve that issue.
Yeah, and
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
That issue, from my understanding, was the gate was put because kids were partying down there for years and years and years. Fires, bonfires, that sort of thing were happening. So the gate, once that road was abandoned, the gate was put there to just keep anyone from going further down the road.
Okay.
And that used to be actually city public right of way, the old cul-de-sac that's hatched out on the exhibit. That was abandoned to the gate, and that's why that gate was put there. When I first started here, I thought, hey, somebody put a gate across our public right of way. That's not cool. So I started looking into it and
Yeah.
kind of found out later on that no, that got abandoned, some time ago, not too long ago. That cul-de-sac will be another offer of dedication though, so that'll be part of the city right away of public access.
And
So there won't be any gates except maybe on the driveways perhaps.
so is that just an asphalt cul-de-sac or will there be,
Ye-
there's no like center island with landscaping or anything like that?
No, I mean, right now it's just, it hasn't been designed, so the applicant will have to have his engineer put together some plans to design that.
Mhm.
And, that'll be submitted to the city for approval.
Okay.
But right now, I don't think we're planning on having any island in there, just probably a asphalt cul-de-sac.
So I see that we've identified possible building sites based on the slope, the 20% slope. Those are places where building sites can go. If someone wanted to build their house somewhere else, could they submit for grading applications or to change the slopes?
So theoretically, they could come in and request that. It would reinitiate the entire review process again. And so what our environmental document did was review what you're looking at. So if they're going to build, they are looking, or we've accounted for them building within the areas called out as building envelopes right now. If they built outside of those, we would have to look at whether or not they're meeting our current standards, if there are impacts that we didn't account for because they're building in new areas. And it could trigger environmental review all over again for them, which is probably not something Mr. Smith or any of the applicant team wants to go through again because it takes a long time. And that's why we look ahead and try to ask the applicants to think about that early and map out the location on site that are most feasible to build on.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Commissioner Manley.
So environmental review is done complete. If we parcel this tonight, then they're held to account of the process that was already done.
Correct.
Because I heard him say 0 tree removal. I put it in quotes.
Zero tree removal.
Mhm.
Yeah. If you notice all of the building envelopes that are there, there is virtually no trees within those building envelopes. So 0 tree removal. And I believe that we will also be required to plant native trees in addition.
And one of the things our environmental document speaks to is the fact that we have so many requirements now that address environmental concerns. And so a good example of that, right, is even if there were tree removals, they would have to comply with the city's native tree ordinance requirements, which would require replacement or paying mitigation fees. And on top of that, they would have to also comply with our hillside development standards, which limit the total amount of canopy that could even be removed before requiring more environmental review. And so there are essentially measures baked into our code that already address environmental issues that are studied under typical environmental review.
Yeah, so
Thank
I
you.
do want to make clear that while the applicant does not intend to take any trees out and the building envelopes are cited in such a way, sometimes parcels take 10 or 20 years to develop and trees pop up and fall down and do all sorts of things. And so if there were to be tree removals, it would follow our ordinance and that would not trigger a whole different process.
I do understand that. I just love our native trees.
Yeah, so do I.
All right. Beautiful, beautiful trees. We love them. Okay, so I just want to make it very clear to Nick that we're not going to put a roundabout up there with a big fountain in the middle. Just checking. Okay.
I don't know, you guys can condition Mr. Smith to do that, but
No, I was,
no, it's going to be a super lightly travel road. Really, the only folks that are going to go down there are the residents, the garbage trucks and the mailmen and the delivery people, in my
Perfect.
opinion. And the water meter
low
reading guy.
traffic, low traffic. Fantastic. Okay, I did Oh, one more question. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Back to the road. I looked at the road map today and it's not a city maintained road. So I have a non-city maintained road where I live and all the people living down on that road have to pull their garbage trucks up and put their, not their garbage trucks, their trash cans up and put them up on El Monte Road because the garbage trucks will not travel down that road. So as conscientious neighbors, they built a place for those trash cans and little cyclone fencing to keep them from blowing down the hill and everything. I would assume that these people, the trash trucks won't be traveling down that road.
No, they would. They would go down Tacoloty. I think it's in pretty good condition right now. And the cul-de-sac will allow them a turning radius to be able to pick up those garbage trucks. I'm guessing those two lots, 3 and 4, will take access off that cul-de-sac. So there should be, adequate distance for that. It's honestly the most impressive people in this town are the garbage truck drivers. I mean, there's some roads that are just, Linda Vista is one that just narrows down to nothing. And I'm not sure how they maneuver those roads, but they do. El Monte is very steep. I know that road well too.
The road is, El Monte goes up the road and then El Monte drops down. It's that El Monte that drops down. There's certainly room for the trucks to go down but they stopped doing it. And then, I know that those neighbors on that El Monte, road that I'm referring to, they maintain that road really well. They have it slurried sealed every year. They do a lot of work to keep that road is in better condition than the real El Monte Road. So, okay. And these 2 lots will be responsible. And then there's another house on the right-hand side. They will be responsible for maintaining this road.
Yes. Yep. There's 2 things for the city to maintain a road that needs to happen. One, we need to accept the offer of dedication of right of way. But then there's a second thing we have to also do is accept the road improvements into the street system. And so, a lot of these are public right of way, but the city never accepted the road improvements into the street system. When we became an incorporated city in 1979, we just took over what the county had accepted. And then, those are the roads. So the county didn't accept a lot of roads because they weren't built to county standards. They weren't thick enough for pavement structure. They were too steep. They were too narrow. There's all sorts of things why they didn't accept roads. That's kind of a little history lesson on why some roads are city maintained, why some are not.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. I have one question. We received a letter regarding this project, and it had attached some photos, which we got. It said that there was a video, which Commissioner Carranza was nice enough to show me, but I don't know if anybody else was able to see that video. Can we show that video if it's available so everybody can see it?
It's all, it was posted on the city's website as part of the agenda materials. I think it's listed as
Okay.
additional, I forget the language. So it is available to the public. Were there any commissioners that were not able to view that prior to the meeting? So, yeah.
I can try and pull it up.
Yeah, just so all
Thank
of
you.
our commissioners have,
Yeah, it's a
some
short,
information.
it's not very long. So.
And Vice Chair, I was gonna say, I don't know if staff knows this of when that video was taken.
Well, when was that video submitted? I showed that the email was submitted yesterday at 10:49 a.m.
I
Correct.
believe he mentioned in the email, it was taken in 2022,
Oh,
which
when
was
the video was taken.
one of our highest, I think, rainfall totals on history.
Atmospheric river is what they call it.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Rivers in the sky.
And play.
From the beginning to where you can see the two markers, that watershed is the property before ours up the hill, just as reference, so you know.
Thank you for that. Any questions on after that, watching that? Go ahead. All right, Eric.
Is the city going to, with something like this, I assume they've sized any drainage structures that are in the public right of way. Is this project or the future project of the development of the 4 parcels going to be conditioned to analyze the runoff and possibly upgrade the structures?
Not these projects with the stormwater regulations. They're required to meet certain requirements and, if it exceeds a certain threshold for impervious, then they need to do rate control of the property. So, but none of the requirements will be to, look at a hydraulic analysis of any of those culverts. This video, it brings a little PTSD for me because I saw this all over the place during those 2022 storms. And this was very, very similar to about half the streets I drove that during those storms, that January 10th storm. It was really heavy.
Yeah. Is this part of road in the video, a portion of the road that's going to be redeveloped based on the fiber and the road extension?
Yes, yes. So right now, I believe there'll be aerial fiber going because there's already aerial lines out there. So they'll utilize those, telephone posts or poles as much as possible and go down that road. But we'll require them to, repair any damage that occurs to the road or the right of ways. So there'll be a lot of inspection occurring with that project.
Thank you.
I'd like to add to what Nick said. Good evening. My name is Matthew Moore with Civil Design Studio out of Cambria. We're the project engineer or the professional engineer representing Eric.
Okay, could you move to the mic a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Is that
Go
better?
ahead. Say your name again.
Matthew Moore with Civil Design Studio.
Okay, thank you.
To add to what Nick was saying, the project, when they come through for grading permits, building permits, all of the other permits, we're required to prove that there's no negative impact on the storm drain or on stormwater. So this project will have it will either decrease the runoff or have no change. That's part of the requirements from the federal, state, county, city, you name it. That's part of the requirements.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, I think the staff has done its due diligence in making sure this lot division complies with all federal and state and local requirements. Is that correct?
That's correct.
There we go. Good job. Thank you. That's what we rely on you guys for. That's what we pay you the big bucks for. All right.
Wonderful. If I
So-
can just make one quick comment.
Yes,
As
yes,
I can
please go ahead.
see, I think moving towards a motion, as you make that motion and you're making, if you're happen to read off of the recommendation that is on your screen, if you can just add to that, including the modification to the condition number 4 as shown on this screen here. So just wanted to.
Okay, including the
Mhm.
modification. Okay. Alrighty, one last, no, I don't. I think everything I wanted to ask has been asked. Anybody else have any further questions? Would someone like to make a motion? Commissioner Kranza?
Oh, I'll just say before the motion that it seems very apparent that this subdivision is going to result in improvements to lots of different issues that the whole neighborhood is having, that Mr. Keys brought up, but also the other neighboring person with the email content, and just hearing from the civil engineer as well noted that with the stormwater, and we talked about wildfires. We covered a lot of territory with this 27-acre property. So my hat's off to Mr. Smith, who is going to be taking on a lot more work after the subdivision. So yeah, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, go right ahead.
Yeah, adopting draft PC resolution, negative deck environmental document number 2025-0001 and approving vesting tentative parcel map 240047 SBDV 24-0096, subject to findings and conditions approval with one edit, modification number 4. Can you hit that slide for me, the one backwards? That the public utilities shall be installed in all public right-of-ways to the satisfaction of the city engineer, and retracting that this shall include the installation of the fiber optic cable or conduit for such as appropriate. No longer necessary for that portion. That is my recommendation and my motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Commissioner Heath seconds. Roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Carranza,
Yes.
Commissioner Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner David,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Commissioner Panaccio,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Congratulations, Mr. Smith. Thank you. Good luck with your project. Okay, well, that was fun. Do we have any more? Let's see, Commissioner, any directors' reports? No? Oh, okay, we'll go ahead and open the floor for Commissioner Carranza.
Well, it
Go
was
ahead.
a question regarding to the staff that anything above this, I mean, Ms. Gleason mentioned that it could take 10, 20 years for these parcels to get developed. But, you know, with that being said, no matter how long the time, do the neighbors get like a cue card of when these would be up for, you know?
No, no, a ministerial permit means if they check all the boxes in our code, they are issued a permit.
Okay.
If there are tree removals, we do a lot posting, but other than that, we do not.
I'll also
Other comments?
just briefly mention that vesting tentative maps do have an expiration period. It's typically quite long. I think the max here would be 8 years, within which you have to get your final parcel map. So there is a timeline. It's just rather long.
We're heading into summer, and so we do have a couple projects that are on the horizon, but nothing firmly solidified with a date yet. But I think this is about the time where if anybody is taking a summer vacation, if you can let Annette know, just so that we know if we're going to have quorums on certain planning commission dates throughout the summer, that would be great for our scheduling. Thank you. And it doesn't look like we have anything for our next meeting, so perhaps you should time your summer vacation with that.
Why would anyone want a vacation anywhere but here?
Exactly. We live in the most beautiful place.
All righty, with that,
Should we add a commission meeting for the summer since everyone's going to be here, right?
No, okay, so I think we're done here. So at this time, our next regular meeting will be not on June 3rd. No. When's the next meeting after that?
Sorry, I'm looking at got to get the 2025 schedule here. So not on June 3rd, but on June 17th.
The next meeting will be on June 17th. here in the City Hall chambers. And with that, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.